This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. We used to crowd the plate so that strike zone almost disappeared.
The king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun. One day, Simba, the sun will set on my time here and will rise with you as the new king.
Your only job was to look after the king. How could you let him come to such a pass? You have a son.
You have come to me, my son. I am the wellspring from which you flow.
You gave your word to the people of the United States.
Give yourself to the dark side. We are the United States government. We don't do that sort of thing. That torpedo did not self-destruct. You heard it hit the hull, and I was never here. I go ton for ton, loading coal with any man here. When I do, I expect the same dollar for the same work. No majority ever gave a minority a fair share of the loot without force.
You must have learned a great deal more than you bargained for through this experience, Mr. Watson.
Then we're back to the income and the outcome and the deducting, and you drive me to drink.
You don't know nothing, baby.
Major Kong, is it possible this is some kind of loyalty test?
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. I am your father.
Sorry, but you don't make the rules. I do.
Stupenzo, buddy, what's going on? Why can't I hear you? Oh, you're muted.
I'm muted. Nothing
You're
much. I was supposed to go to the dentist, and then they called me like at 10 in the morning. They're like, "Hey, your hygienist, he's not going to make it today, so got to go, some other day." I'm like, Jesus, all right. So next week, I might miss this next week's episode, but I'm going to move it around, make that happen.
Well, it's good that you're here for this one because we're going to be mostly talking about the career of the late, great James Earl Jones, who we lost yesterday at the age of 93. That's a good innings by anyone's standards, I would suggest. And what
did you watch a James Earl Jones movie yesterday? I did.
I made the bad mistake of watching Field of Dreams, which is not a good film to watch.
Yeah,
I want to get emotional and upset.
I watched Conan. Conan, yeah.
Why didn't I watch Conan?
That was way. I had a blast.
That's such a better idea.
When his face turns into a snake and he's all like, remember? That's my favorite part. Yeah, Field of Dreams. No. You also, if you watched, what was the other one? Patriot Games, where he's like in the hospital bed, like dying. No.
Yeah.
Or Clear and Present Danger. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, that would have been. I'm not that fond of that movie. The book is way better.
Of course. So you said today's an open house, huh? Anyone's in here, right?
Well, there could be all kinds of characters in here, but I basically said if any of our usual collaborators want to come on and say a few words about what James Earl Jones meant to them, they can. However, the Nielsen Sand Timer will be firmly in force. So, because I mean, we could all talk about James Earl Jones's career for quite a long period of time. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. So we'll get into that in a bit, but let's bring in our usual panel first from up across the northern wastes. Here he is.
Hello, you beautiful bastard. And yeah, rest in peace, James L. Jones. I was so sad when I woke up this morning to find that. Yeah,
I actually found out last night because that was kind of more my middle of the day, you know. Very sad news. I think it was about an hour after Inside Man and I'd finished doing our live stream on Mad Max ripoffs that the news dropped. It was about an hour after that.
Yeah, I watched some of it last night. Sorry I didn't join the comment. I was just busy trying to get some videos together.
No, that's all right. Well, it's still there, so you know you can check it out later if you want. It was great. We had great fun on that stream. It was a lot of fun, and we were a bit worried no one was going to watch it. We had like no one watching when we started. We thought, what's going on? We've always got people watching.
Sometimes people like watching these like streams on these like cult classics and rip-offs.
After a few minutes, we had about 12 to 15 like the whole time, so that was kind of nice. And it seems to have gone down well. Anyway, then we have Ferris Bueller's in the house. Yeah, I don't know who decided you look like Ferris Bueller. That's
the hair's not helping out, but
nothing to do with me. But
I got a Star Wars mug. See.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Yeah, just waking up because I drank too much last night. It was me and Enzo were on Leon's channel. That was fun.
That was not last night.
Well, I didn't.
Yesterday at 3 p.m.
I didn't stop drinking though. that was a pre-drink.
I was like drinking juice or something during that.
No,
coffee.
It was blended scotch.
You have enough of that stuff. You're going to forget what day it is. Never mind.
Actually, the funny part, I did forget what day it was because
who cares what day it is? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't even matter anymore.
I went to the job today to do my physical, my orientation. They said, "Yeah, that's tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh, sure."
Does this mean that we're breaking the news to you that James Earl Jones has died right now?
No. Actually, we found out during Leon's stream. So that's how it's like we.
Oh, you were on last night.
Yeah, we purposely we'll cover that later because it was midstream. We didn't want to destroy the entire stream because we're having a good time and like it's such a dour note that I was like, yeah, I know we'll cover it on Lance's channel tomorrow because. I mean, how do you talk about it for just 5 minutes?
Well,
I mean,
it's funny because I made the thumbnail preemptively because I was like, obviously we're going to talk about this, but also I didn't know if I was going to make it. I thought I was going to be at the dentist today, so I was like, "Here, take this thumbnail and do what you will with it." But I remembered who Blue Collar Loser does look like. Okay, he looks like what's his name? Jason Marsden, James Marsden's brother.
I think you said
I'm gonna share my screen, and you guys can just. I want you to see this. This is the guy who he looks like. Look at this. Tell me if that doesn't look like a little young blue collar there.
I do see it a little bit.
He looks like Jason Marsden
in that picture. Yeah,
I gotta change my
Jason Marsden. That's your lookalike. In fact, whenever I try to make stupid AI pictures of blue collar, I'll put Jason Marsden in there, and it might get closer. Anyway,
Gary is going with Lars Ulrich for your lookalike.
He does. He does look a little like Lars, but he's handsomer than Lars.
Next, we have the man with the gossip from the underground channels. It's the Inside Man.
Oh wow!
Hello.
Yay!
Hello. How are you? Yeah, good. I mean,
it was a really like dour greeting for you when you came in. Everyone's
like,
hello.
I don't know.
You on again?
No, it just I don't know. It just feels a bit weird knowing that we've actually lost James Earl Jones. It's somebody that you feel that he's always going to be there, but in a way, he is always going to be there. You know, I mean, the kind of part that he's played in all our lives.
Also, the fact that he sold his voice to AI, and Disney movies forever. So
yeah. Did he really do that?
Yeah. Ends up working up. Yeah.
Do you know what? I really want to talk about that because that's an interesting topic right there. But we'll table that for now. We will.
Well, yeah, because
Inside Man, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Really enjoyed the stream on Sunday. Actually, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and we sort of, may have poked a little bit of fun at some of those Mad Max rip-offs, but on the whole, I think they're pretty wacky and goofy movies, but for the most part, they're okay. They're watchable.
Yeah. Well, indeed. Last, but by no means least, we have Leroy Peters in the house.
How you guys doing?
Not too
Hello, mate.
bad.
Hey, man.
What's up?
I've been gone for 2 weeks.
You've been gone for 2 weeks. Well, that's
I had to do a moving job with my cousin, moving some people to California.
So. What we're going to do tonight is I'm going to go round to each of my panelists in turn, and I want you to tell me the first thing that you remember seeing James Earl Jones in as a kid, and it may be that you heard him before you saw him, but tell me which one you specifically remember, and then actually we'll start with that. Don't get into everything else. Well, we're gonna do this in a series of questions, just to keep it fairly contained. Okay, because I've been reading my Northern Bastard rule book on these kinds of things, so he's told me to keep it very rigid. Okay, so so Northern, I'll start with you, as you're probably the youngest here, even despite blue collar, actually being 20, but his alcohol aging him quickly.
Tell me.
So Northern, what's the first thing you remember seeing or hearing James Earl Jones?
I can't remember if it was Coming to America or The Lion King, because it's been a long time. It probably might have been something else, but the earliest I can remember might be The Lion King more than ever. And and I didn't find out he was the same guy as Darth Vader until my parents told me, and I was seeing him in other films as well, like Patriot Games, and I was like, okay, so that's the guy who does his voice. Cool, I like him.
Stupenzo, same question.
Yeah, kind of the same answer, except I think for me it was Conan. I didn't see Star Wars until I was kind of in middle school. Did I really get into Star Wars, and we watched them when they got theatrically re-released? But obviously Lion King. But I remember when Lion King coming out, knowing who James Earl Jones was, But Conan, I think that was one of those movies I watched since I was a little baby.
I think it was something to do with your mother let you watch Conan at a really young and inappropriate age. And I mean,
my mom didn't care, but my dad we'd watch it with me, record them on VHS from TV or whatever. And
was that not an edited version?
No, hell no.
So it was the full on,
Yep.
The full thing.
I mean, yeah, dude, Conan. I mean, Frank Frazetta is also a big inspiration to me. The artist, the guy who did the comics, So Conan's always just been cool in my book.
Leroy, your first thing you saw him in.
I have to say it's a tie between Conan the Barbarian and one of the Star Wars movies. Thing was, I didn't even know he was the voice of Darth Vader until I got older. So I have to say, the first time I saw James Earl Jones was in Conan the Barbarian.
Okay, yeah. So first time you saw him, Conan, but first time you heard him, Star Wars. Did you see Star Wars on original release?
No, my dad, when I was still a child, probably in kindergarten, my dad would rent VHS, and the first Star Wars movies I saw was The Empire Strikes Back. I saw that first, then Return of the Jedi, then Star Wars A New Hope. And I did not know that he was the voice of Darth Vader. So that was the first time I heard of him. But the first time I actually saw him was Conan the Barbarian. And surprisingly, the second movie I saw him in, and I don't think anyone knows this, but was Three Fugitives starring Nick Nolte and Martin Short.
I've seen it, but it's been a long time. Was he? I can't remember. Was he the police officer tracking them down?
Yeah, he was a police officer.
We're diverging on other topics, so I'm going to rein you in. I want first appearances only.
That was the time I've actually seen James Earl Jones.
Okay, so my answer to the question before we move on to Inside Man is I heard him first because I saw Star Wars on the original release. And then not long after that, because Conan was I seem to recall Conan was a AA, which meant you had to be 16 or over to go and see it. And I think it was released in 1980. I'd have to check, but that's my understanding. I blagged my way into seeing Conan. In fact, we told our parents we were going to see something else. I can't remember what. And checked that Conan was on at the same time.
Lance, I first saw Conan when it was censored on regular TV.
No, I saw it in the cinema, and I had no idea it was going to be as gory or as graphic as it was. So me and Martin, who were both very tall, we were the tallest in our years. He was in the year above me. I've told the story of me and him blagging our way into films many times. That was another one that we blagged our way into when we were not of appropriate age. I got to see Conan on release. I got to see Star Wars on release because I'm that kind of age. So those would be the first for me. Inside Man, what about you?
First time I heard him really that I can recall is obviously the release of Star Wars: A New Hope. The first time I saw him was in Roots. That was the first time I saw him.
I forgot he did Roots.
Yeah, he played Alex Haley, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like the narrator of the story, isn't he? Because he's tracing his ancestors.
Yeah, and it's it's funny. I mean, even thinking about the end of. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, I just got to compose myself a little bit there. Even thinking about the end of Roots and James Earl Jones' appearance in that was, it just blew me away.
Yeah,
absolutely blew me away. And it actually brings a lump to my throat even thinking about it right now, to be honest.
Well, as I got told the other day when I broke down crying on a live stream, for anyone who hasn't seen it, you'll have to. I'm not going to tell you when. You're going to have to hunt through all my videos. It's okay to cry. So it's okay to cry inside man, especially when you're not on camera. When you're on camera, it's not so much fun.
I drunk cry all the time.
But it's an understandable reaction because this is a bit like losing one of your favorite pop stars whose records you've listened to endlessly. This is no different to that. It's the same thing. It's and he had such a phenomenal presence, unbelievable presence, that it's kind of like someone you always expect to be there, and in many ways he always will be, because what an incredible legacy of work that we're gonna dive into.
We shouldn't be surprised, though, for two reasons. One, he was 93, so his death was coming soon anyway. But also, we have to remember he lost his wife 8 years ago, and they were married for 34 years. So death was bound to happen sooner or later.
Well, it's more common that people normally go within a year of each other when it's a married couple that have been together that long. So I'm actually, in that case, I'm amazed that he hung on for another eight years. But I'm glad that we had him for the time that we do. Now, before we move on to my next question, there's a comment here which has reminded me of something that I wanted to tell everyone. So Aaron Charman has said in the chat, I like the original West Country Darth Vader voice. So you can see a comparison on YouTube between David Prowse, who was the bodybuilder from England, who physically was appropriate for the Darth Vader role, and of course then the dubbing with James Earl Jones, which became the iconic voice of the character. Now, David Prowse opened a school fete near me.
Was it a fate worse than death?
Very funny. So there was this big thing of Darth Vader's going to be at this school fete. You can get autographs and all the rest of it, because no one was doing pictures back then because you didn't have phones. This was probably like 1978 or something. So we all went down there, and there was people there in masses. And then when we finally saw who Darth Vader was, we realized he was the Green Cross Code man, who did these Green Cross Code adverts. And you had to queue up for ages to get a signature or whatever. I don't think he even had signed headshots. I can't remember what he signed of mine. But I just remember him talking, and the kid in front of me went, "You're not Darth Vader. You don't talk like him," and like threw a strop and walked off.
Wow.
So that was quite funny. And he said, "Oh well, mate, it's all the magic of movies or something." I felt a bit sorry for him, but yeah. So that's a little story about David Prowse.
Didn't Carrie Fisher start calling him Darth Farmer on the Star Wars set, on the original Star Wars set, because of his country bumpkin accent? I think he was
from
Darth
Mississippi.
Farmer.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father, did he?
No.
I mean, I think it's ridiculous that he could have, got so upset and annoyed at George Lucas because he had his voice replaced with somebody like James Earl Jones. I mean, look, I'm sure Dave Prowse was a lovely man. I have met him. I'm sure he was a lovely man. But you can't have that voice for a sinister character. You have to have somebody as and this is where things got very contentious between George Lucas and Dave Prowse, because George Lucas had said, I want a darker, richer voice, and of course Dave Prowse misinterpreted that as something completely different and turned it into a racial issue, and said, well, he was obviously just a token hire, which that really got George Lucas's hackles up, and he never really forgave him for that, and never forgave Dave Prowse for that kind of attitude to adopt. And of course, it got even worse on The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I know on Empire Strikes Back, David Prowse was going around hawking his bodybuilding book all the time. Like he had it with him on set, like all the time, and kept.
Well, that wasn't James Earl Jones' fault.
No, of course it wasn't. But anyway, funny side note. Okay, so each of my guests, I'm gonna ask you to. Doesn't have to be your all-time favorite, but if you want to pick a role of Mr. Jones, not Darth Vader. Let's take that off the table now.
Take Thoughts of Doom off the table as well.
Pick another role of James Earl Jones in a movie or a TV show that you particularly liked or enjoyed. Stupenzo. Give me a choice.
I would have to say I love Coming to America because he's like he's like a king, and he's got this like fish out of water. He's like the straight man, even though he's still also a fish out of water. He comes to America and just like, he's just got this great father figure stuff. And I just love the line. I say it all the time. I'm looking for my son, Akeem. That's my favorite line he's ever said. I don't know why, but I just love him in Coming to America. And also honorable mention for the coach from Best of the Best, where he's like, we're not a team unless we all work together or whatever. I can't remember what he says. It's such a good one.
You know what? I totally forgot that he was in Best of the Best. But
Eric Roberts, karate coach.
As you've picked Coming to America, let's talk about it a little bit. It was released in 1988. I saw it in America in 1988 because that's the first time I was there. It's in my book of the same name.
I was going to ask, is it in your book? Hell yeah, it
is. Of course, it is. And that film was elevated from an above average comedy, I think, because of the scenes with James Earl Jones, and he had really good chemistry with the actress who played his wife, who sadly, I think she passed away in the early 90s, I think.
She also played his wife in The Lion King, the original one.
Yeah, that's like one of those mind blowers. You're like, whoa.
Wow.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, they had great chemistry together on screen. They and she was a fantastic actress and really experienced theatre actress as well, along with our good Mr. Jones. So does anybody else want to say anything else about Coming to America before we move on?
He's definitely the best thing in it, I will just say that everything that he's been in, he has been the best thing in it. It doesn't
I think
matter
the best
how
thing in
small a
coming
role,
to
it's
America
amazing.
is I think the best thing in coming to America is the naked girl who says the royal penis is clean, Your
Clean,
Highness.
Your Highness.
Yeah, that's
that
James Earl Jones is a close second. He's a close second for sure.
That lady is black porn star Midori. Don't ask me how I know that.
But I think Arsenio
I'm surprised
Hall.
I didn't know that.
Arsenio Hall was also great in that movie. I love
Yes, he
Arsenio Hall.
was.
Yeah, love him. Love him.
Yeah. Anyone else want to say anything about coming to America?
Yeah, I like the fact that he's kind of this dignified, really great presence, but he's kind of a bit of a pompous prick at the same time. When he finds out Akeem's working honestly, he's just really flabbergasted how his son could do such a thing. I mean, even when he insults McDowell as well, it's like he's very unapologetic about it. He's like, I will not apologize. The man is beneath me.
Yeah. I remember that scene. I'm surprised he didn't get punched.
I know. McDowell had every right to punch him as well. He actually does get a bit hostile with him, understandably. But he's still very likable in it, though, even when he is being a bit of a dick. And that's the true staple of a good actor. But I always kind of like James L. Jones when he is a bit bad, because he has got a kind of a fatherly presence, and to see him go a bit more into the darker side, no pun intended, is where he truly shines, in my opinion.
Norman, do you have a role you want to mention or a film that he didn't?
Well, apart from that as well, he may be Conan the Barbarian as well, because he, even though he may not look as muscular as Arnie, he still had this great presence. Like, he didn't need to be a physical match. All he had to do was have that power when he appears, that powerful presence, for lack of a better term.
Conan is definitely a topic for discussion tonight. Because
I really not like James Earl Jones and Conan the Barbarian.
Well, you're not meant so. He's evil. He's evil, but he's a cool villain.
It doesn't strike me as that kind of a villain. He looked out of place.
You see, it's interesting that you say that, because as soon as he spoke in the movie, I remember we both kind of went, "Isn't that the voice of Darth Vader?" And but when I first saw him and he took his mask off, I was like, I'm not sure about this guy as the villain. But as the film went on, he completely sold it. I thought he was great, and looking back at it now, I think his performance is stronger than when I first saw it. It's timeless. It's a classic performance. He's an amazing villain in it, and it's to his testament of his versatility as an actor that he can pull that off. So yeah, I rated him in Conan. I think Conan's a 9 out of 10 movie anyway.
Yeah, like I watched it again last night, like I said, and it was just so fun, dude. And it's just, I love, like, the swords, like making people's bodies explode open for no reason. But yeah, dude, him especially, like I said, the snake transformation scene is one of my favorites of all time.
I had nightmares after that scene.
And it's funny because you watch it still and it's like very reserved, like I said, he just kind of closes his eyes and like some puppet of him, like his face gets longer, and then it cuts away and then it cuts to him and he's a snake. And it's more effective than most of the modern day over the top stuff, that you see.
Because it's practical. It's really
that's why it's so creepy. Probably that's probably why it would give you nightmares, because it's just something about it is so eerie,
Yeah, it is very creepy.
But yeah, it's like Luke said, it's he's not very big or scary looking, but he's scaring in his own right. It's his voice.
Can I say what my favorite?
No, I haven't got to you yet. I'm working my way down the list. Not yet.
My bad.
That's all right. Anybody want to say anything else about Conan? Just want to make sure each person gets to chip in case they
shout out to Sandal Bergman.
Oh yeah, especially in Soundcore.
This is the James L. Jones dedication stream. Never mind about the pretty ladies.
Yeah.
Well, he killed her in that movie with a snake arrow. Remember?
Well, we can talk about that. That's fine.
All right, I will say one more thing. If you don't like Conan, then to hell with you.
To hell with you.
To hell with you. Excellent. That was good. Okay. All right. Brilliant. Chris, do you have a a favorite James Earl Jones character, performance, or movie?
Yeah, man, I love him in Field of Dreams. I mean, as much
That's going to be my choice.
Well, you asked.
I've
did.
yet to see
That is a
Field
good
of
film.
Dreams.
Well, I watched it in honor of his memory.
Yeah.
We've got some stills of it here. And man, that's not a good film to watch if you don't want to cry, though, as a grown ass man.
Especially being a parent too. That's
father and son. When did you first see Field of Dreams?
Oh God, I mean, just again, being so many films as a kid. I mean, I'm assuming VHS back then. It's because it was so long ago, but it probably would have been VHS.
And were you alone? Did you watch it with anybody?
Oh no, of course, like I said, but it's Field of Dreams is one of those. It's Kevin Costner, James Earl Jones. That's a family film. You're watching with mom and dad and your sisters, and so it came out 89. So it would have been it came out 89. Probably would hit VHS about 90, 91. So definitely would have been just one of family, the family's Friday night movies you guys would sit down and watch.
Well, I know we might get copyright flagged, but I feel sometimes we have to take a risk because I feel we should see a little bit of Field of Dreams. So let's do it.
They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom.
See, man.
They'll turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around. You'll say, it's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have and peace they like.
Ray, just sign the papers.
And they'll walk out to the bleachers. Sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon.
Everyone stops to watch him too.
They'll find
James is monologuing again.
Somewhere along one of the baselines. So they sat when they were children.
Music too.
And cheered their heroes. And they'll watch the game. And it'll be as if they'd dipped themselves in magic waters.
Now, anyone else, a weaker actor might not be able to sell that scene.
Yes.
And it's such an important scene to work for the film. If that scene doesn't work, the film really doesn't work. And if they cast a weaker actor in that role, and he hadn't sold that scene like that, I don't think the movie would have worked as well. So good choice, Chris, which was also my pick, which is why I had that scene ready. But good film, and one that it's one that people either love or hate. Field of Dreams, because it is kind of out there.
Hokey.
Yeah, it's hokey. It's out there. If you're not American, you obviously don't have that relationship with baseball. But I
don't really care for baseball.
No, but you can.
I'm British.
You can understand the core themes of the movie, which are, the relationship between father and son, and how
the best sports movies aren't really about the sport. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, like to Lance and Enzo, I mean, you could have made that about soccer, hockey. It's not about baseball. I mean, it's the field, obviously, but you could have
soccer Field of Dreams. Don't give these producers ideas, okay? Don't give them ideas.
It's got a lot of heart, though, hasn't it? It's got lots of heart. That's why it's so
they've had 40 years to make a sequel or a remake. So,
dude, you're just saying it out loud. It might happen. Shut up. Zip it.
What, the boxing Field of Dreams?
That's what I just said. The ring Field of Dreams.
Well, it's another great performance from James Earl Jones. Inside Man, did you want to mention another one?
Field of Dreams, hands down. But I love the way that he starts off as this curmudgeon. This sort of grumpy old curmudgeon, and
damn kid
just softens and softens and softens, and it's just a beautiful performance. Really, really beautiful film. I love it. I know zero about baseball, but as you say, the movie isn't about baseball. It just happens to be the MacGuffin, for want of a better word. It's it's the kind of thing that's there that's sort of driving something, but it's it's a relationship film. It's about father and son relationships, and I think particularly because I have sons and having lost my dad, and it's a very poignant film for me. I love it.
Gets you in the feels.
Yeah,
every time. Leroy, you may now jump in.
As far as my favorite James Earl Jones role, I only have to say two. One was a TV movie made called The Vernon John Story, which was a true story about a black preacher who was boycotting the Montgomery boycott. He inspired Dr. Martin King Jr. James Earl Jones played, it says you've never seen him before. He played a hell of a role as Pastor Vernon Johns. It's called The Vernon John Story. Look it up. And also I just saw this movie for the first time, I think earlier this year, A Family Thing that he did with Robert Duvall. Mm-hmm. So those two movies, in my opinion, are probably his best role that I've seen. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And
I remember seeing this in the video store actually, but I don't think I ever rented it.
He did a hell of a performance as Vernon Johns in this movie, and the fact that the person he played is the one who inspired Dr. Martin King Jr. to speak out against segregation and injustice. He was the one who planted the seed, and James Earl Jones did a terrific job. I thought that was his best performance. If it was a made-for-TV movie, I don't know if he was ever nominated for an Emmy for it. He should have been. I'm surprised he's never won an Oscar.
I'm surprised he didn't get more leading roles like in actual movies. He's always a supporting character, or at least those are his like most memorable ones.
But he never complained about it.
I mean, dude, you're probably more financially better as a long career as a supporting actor as opposed to trying to ride the lead actor train like many stars do and fail.
If Stupenzolicious, if I may say something, as a black man, what I found very interesting about James Earl Jones, as I was reading his obituary, the only struggle he ever talked about was overcoming a stuttering problem as a child.
That's right.
He never talked about his problems with racism or what was like dealing, because he was born in Mississippi. He was from Mississippi and he grew up in Michigan, but he never talked about his struggles with racism and stuff like that. Unlike, let's say, Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte, even Denzel Washington and Samuel Jackson, when it came to their struggles, they were not shy in talking about it. But James Earl Jones never even mentioned the issue of racism as a black man. And
he joined the ROTC and excelled, and he was
and he was a Korean War veteran too.
I'm
thinking he probably had it better than most black Americans.
He wasn't a Korean War vet. He was commissioned in mid-1953 after the Korean War had ended. And reported expecting to be deployed, but then the war, because the war kind of abruptly ended. So his unit was sent to establish a cold weather training command. That sounds fun. At former Camp Hale near Leadville, Colorado.
I could be wrong, but I'm just assuming during this time he probably had it better than most black Americans during this time, because like I said, he never really talked about it. And
he was blessed with that voice, man. He's got one of those voice. He was blessed with that voice. Like
and he had a really bad stammer as well. He used to have a stammer, and to think he became this great voice as well.
It's one of those things where if they're like, man, if you didn't have a stutter, you'd be a great voice actor. It's probably something that everyone told him. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger being like Austrian in every movie. Like you kind of have to mention it. Like, why are you Austrian? Whereas like in James Earl Jones, like with James Earl Jones, like when he's talking in Field of Dreams, what we just saw, it's like, how does not every neighbor just be like, you should be on the radio? Like
Have any of you guys seen A Family Thing though? I saw that movie the first time this year, and it was good. Both he and Robert Duvall did a terrific performance. I think that's one of their best performance ever. And
I'll check it out. I love mid 90s.
Yeah, it's called Family Thing.
Yeah.
And
I've got it.
Somebody counting large amounts of money? What's that sound?
I don't know.
Not me.
Wasn't me.
Sounds like a money counting machine going on.
I'm sat still here.
Who's laundering money?
It's probably Inside Man. He's got all kinds of schemes going on. Yeah, so this is Robert Duvall, James Earl Jones. I think I've seen this film.
I'll watch this today.
They play half brothers.
Yeah, because it's a I can't remember if it's based on a stage play or not, but it's very talking heads. But then when you've got Robert Duvall and James Earl Jones as your two leads, that's not really a problem. You know, that's fine. I'm quite happy to watch them, talk away at each other. But yeah, and I have seen this a long time ago. Remember thinking,
like I said, I saw it for the first time earlier this year. The first time, ironically, who would know that this would be the year that James Earl Jones passed on?
Yeah, I saw this when it came out. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the best thing you can do. But to honor the man is to maybe see some of the stuff that he's proud of that you haven't seen, including the smaller films like this one. So clearly, it's got a very gripping picnic scene. So look, this guy's very invested in the food. What's going on?
One thing I've noticed for learning. One thing I've learned right now is that it seems like James Earl Jones was kind of a jobbing actor most of the time as well. Just happened to be the best at it, the most well known.
He's a damn EGOT winner,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was.
Well, he
honorary EGOT.
Talking about his awards, we mentioned earlier, he got an honorary Oscar. I mean, he definitely should have won an Oscar. Absolutely.
I think he should have been nominated for this one. And
he got 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, 2 Tony Awards, and a Grammy Award. And he was also a recipient of a Golden Globe, Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement, honorary, and the Honorary Academy Award. He has been described as being an EGOT winner, having recipient of an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. But there's debate over the definition of an EGOT. Blah, blah.
Hey Lance, you talk about a movie that makes you cry. I can only name one movie that he was in where I almost cried. I don't know if it was a made-for-TV movie called Heat Wave. It was about the Watts riots.
I've seen it.
Yeah, he played Cicely Tyson's love interest, and when his character was killed off by the police, I almost cried in that movie.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. It's a good film. Yeah, I mean, let's just look at some other stuff about his career before we move on. So
can I do one more honorary movie?
What's that? Yeah, go on, jump in.
Well, because I know we brought up Field of Dreams, but I thought it was better in The Sandlot, which is another baseball movie. Yeah. But he just shows up at the end as the creepy old man, and you realize he's a nice guy, pro baseball player, all that stuff. That was really a big payoff role.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was one me and Blue Collar and Luke and Toxic watched a while back. That was great. I think that was the last one we watched. Hell yeah, that's a good note to end it on.
Luke, was that the first time you saw the Sandlot movie?
Yeah, it was, and I can't believe I never saw it as a kid because I could really see myself really loving this as a kid because
it was a classic.
Yeah,
I saw this at the cinema. Can't remember where I was living or whatever, but I do remember I saw this movie on an afternoon in a screen, and there was almost no one there. It was like 8 of us or something. It really reminded me of Stand By Me. It kind of had that vibe. And the kids were really, really good in it. But yeah, the payoff with James Earl Jones turning up at the end. I was hoping I would have got to a picture of him by now, but clearly not.
No, because like I said, he's only in the last 10 minutes of the movie,
Only in the very end.
Yeah.
Why did you knock on the door? I would have gotten the baseball for you. It's like, oh.
Yeah, that would have defeated their whole adventure of trying to get it back.
Yeah, wouldn't have
again another baseball movie that's not about baseball. But yeah, it's funny because I guess Claudine This is a movie that stars James Earl Jones, the Great White Hope. But it's like when you think of like movies that star James Earl Jones, there are not a lot of them. I need to check those out.
Yeah,
Claudine is actually a pretty this one is a pretty powerful movie.
Who's eating celery? What is that noise?
What's going on here?
Don't look at me. I ate all my food.
Hang on. I bet if we do this, the culprit will have. Look how quiet it is all of a sudden. Inside man, are you eating?
I'm definitely not eating anything.
Knew it was you. Right.
Sorry.
Oh, he also starred in an adaptation of King Lear. I guess he starred in a lot of stuff on Broadway.
He was the original. He was the original role in Fences, which
Denzel Washington. I hated Denzel Washington's character in that movie.
I hated you're not supposed to like it. You're not supposed to like the character. That's the whole point. He's not a nice man.
I'll never forget. I'll never forget when my mom and I first saw Fences. We both hated the character that Denzel Washington played because
you saw it. You saw the movie version.
Yeah, I saw the movie version. And
I could totally imagine James Earl Jones like killing that role. You know,
I saw it with Yaphet Kotto, and who took over from James Earl Jones from the Broadway production, and then came with it to London.
Wow!
Oh my god!
Yeah, Yaphet
That's
Kotto.
royalty, man. You actually met Yaphet Kotto?
Yeah.
Wow!
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh.
He was amazing. He was amazing on stage. And then Lenny Henry reprised the role. And when Lenny Henry reprised the role, playing opposite him was my friend Tanya Moody, who those of you that are still hanging on watching Rings of Power will have seen her in episode 4. And when she was doing it with Lenny Henry, surprise knock on the dressing room door. Who came to see it but James Earl Jones? And she put up a picture of him today on her Facebook timeline, but I won't share it because I don't know that it's for general consumption. But it's a stage door photo of her with Lenny and James Earl Jones, who originated the role. And I remember her posting that picture when he came. I think this was because me and my ex-wife went to see the show to support her, and it was not long after that James Earl Jones popped up, and I was like, "Oh, why couldn't he have come on the night I went? I would have spotted him in the audience a mile off." Can I have a program, please?
I've met some celebrities, but none on the level of James Earl Jones or Yaphet Kotto. Like I met Tommy Davidson, one of the guys from Die Hard, Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Was it terrorist number 11 from Die Hard?
Huh?
Which terrorist who got killed?
Not a terrorist. One of the FBI agents. The white guy's name was Johnson. I actually bumped into him at a shoe store in LA once when I was a kid.
Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to remember James Earl Jones did a huge body of stage work. He was always doing plays on Broadway and that kind of stuff. He did a drama in the daytime. Sorry, a role in the daytime drama As the World Turns, and then went on to do sort of like various theatre bits and pieces. Started his role in television. His first major role was in Dr. Strangelove as Lieutenant Lothar Zog, who was flying the bomber, which people may have seen in clips and things. And then he went to star in The Great White Hope as Jack Jefferson,
which was supposed to be based on Jack Johnson.
And that was a role he first played at the Washington Arena stage in the world premiere of the same Howard Sackler's play of the same name.
Didn't he also do Othello, like a stage play Othello?
He did Othello in 1982, Of Mice and Men, The Iceman Cometh, On Golden Pond, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, You Can't Take It With You, Danton's Death, Sunrise at Compello. So those are just some of the Broadway plays he did, which is no small list there. Sort of breakout kind of role for him. Let's have a look. I just want to get the running order of this. Yeah, so I suppose The Great White Hope was really his first massive part. But do people remember that he did for a while also work on Sesame Street?
I did
Dude,
not
I
know
was
that.
literally gonna pull up the ABC alphabets he did.
Yeah, do you want to pull those up? Let's put those on.
Yeah, I was gonna actually take that video and put some music on it for my show because it's so awkward. Because he's
just for the record, I was in honor of James Earl Jones' passing. I started watching Star Wars again. I watched Rogue One last night. After this, I'm gonna watch New Hope tonight.
Yeah, that's a good order to watch it in, and just do the first 4 films and leave it there. Yeah, Enzo, do we have that?
Yeah, 1 second, right here. There we go.
This is the she'll die before she tells you anything moment in Star Wars. Let's have a look.
I didn't even know he was the voice of Darth Vader until I got older.
God,
he does the whole alphabet like this. It is weird.
No, I remember this because he does it the whole way through, and like occasionally he gets excited at different letters and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
G.
Yeah, and then there's some where he does a big smile, and it's weird because I remember watching him on Sesame Street when I see these. Does a wink on eye. Yeah,
I'm picturing like you're standing on a street corner and like some vagrant just does this word for word to you, you know, like making strict eye contact. Like at a bus stop or something.
Only James Earl Jones can like read the alphabet and show his acting range.
And his voice sounds this cool that you're like, keep going.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Q.
Yeah, man.
R.
There's nothing this man.
It's like, where's he going with this? Where's he going with this?
He's going to Z or Z, as you should pronounce it. You know.
Yeah, he gets happy at Z, I think.
U. B.
V is for visitor.
W.
I'm so glad we're watching this because I'd forgotten now.
I never saw this episode. I grew up on Sesame Street.
Y. Z.
What, you used to live there?
That's it.
Very funny.
You said you grew up on it.
I said I grew up watching Sesame Street.
Leroy's missed the stuff
I
up.
grew up on Sesame
Hey,
Street.
Lance, don't make me jump through this screen to hurt you. I ain't doing this stuff for nothing.
So let's
Well, what an amazing career he's had. What amazing life. I don't know his personal life or anything like that, other than he was married twice and had a son. But he lived a long 93 is not young. Like my late, like I said, mentioned earlier, I'm not surprised that he passed on for 2 reasons. He was old, and plus he lost his wife of 34 years 8 years ago. So it was bound to happen. I've seen it before, and Lance,
I'm also aware of people that have died before in my lifetime. This is very true.
yes. So there's really nothing to be sad about because he lived a good life, he lived a long life, and he was an amazing talent. I mean, I don't think Bill Cosby, even this movie he did with Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier, I don't think they can even compare to him. I mean,
Well, probably best we don't mention Bill Cosby.
I lost all respect for Bill Cosby, but I still have respect.
Sidney Poitier had a fantastic career. I mean, they both had pretty similar careers. I just think that James Earl Jones lucked out on a couple of very, very iconic roles.
I think he lucked out in life in general, because like I mentioned, as I was reading,
he lucked out because of his voice.
He never, as I was reading his obituary, he never talked about his experience with racism while growing up, especially during segregation, the Jim Crow era. He never talked about it. Sidney Poitier, who was born in Florida but grew up in the Bahamas, talked about racism and how he dealt with it, as well as even Samuel Jackson, Denzel Washington. But James Earl Jones never talked about it.
So, Exorcism Survivor is not a role of his that I've seen. but also starring in the film are Linda Blair, Richard Burton, Louise Fletcher, who we lost recently, and Max von Sydow. Interesting. It's directed by John Boorman. Exorcist 2, The Heretic. I forgot James Earl Jones was in that.
Film.
Yeah, I did as well, because it's again, the rest of the movie is very forgettable. It is.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone else, sometimes he's got to do a paycheck.
I can't think of a bad movie he did, but I haven't seen all of his movies.
Trust me.
I never saw Field of Dreams.
Everybody's done a bad movie. This is one. What? Everyone's done a bad movie, and that was his. So Patriot Games. He played Admiral Greer in. Was it
The Hunt for the Red October? Good movie.
Yeah, no, he played it in 2 or 3 of the films.
I don't remember seeing him in Patriot Games. I do remember seeing him in The Hunt for the Red October and Clear and Present Danger.
I can't remember if he was in Patriot Games.
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah, no, he's in. But I'm thinking of
in Patriot Games.
I didn't like Patriot Games. Yeah, I thought.
Really? Why?
He was in Patriot Games. Like I said, I've done my best to forget that film. So that wasn't a great movie. Let's go back to his career. I want to talk about a couple of roles he did. So yeah, he was very good in Hunt for Red October. Another movie that he did that, funnily enough, is a film that not a lot of people have seen, but the Inside Man and I talked about it briefly on the Cold War stream that we did the other week, and that's By Dawn's Early Light, which was a TV movie made in 1990. Also starred Rebecca De Mornay, directed by Jack Shoulder. Powers Booth was also in it. Martin Landau, Rip Torn, Darren McGavin, and several other people.
That's a cast. That's a proper cast.
Yeah, it's kind of like a play. It's predominantly set on the plane of a sort of within the structure of a super bomber that's on its way to bomb Russia. The Cold War's kicked off, and various people on the plane are trying to make different decisions about what they should or shouldn't do. I think there is a still of it on here somewhere. I saw it earlier, but it's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, he's got a fairly decent role in it, and it's a good film.
You know what I liked him in? He had a small part. I liked him in Jesus Nazareth, where he played one of the 3 kings.
Yeah,
along with Donald Pleasance, and I think Jason. He even though it was a small role, he was like. It's like, and again, one of you guys mentioned that booming voice of his. He looked like a gentle grandfather, especially when he and the other 2 kings are warning Joseph and Mary about Herod's plans to kill the baby Jesus. I mean, it's like he's like a comforting grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Saying, "Oh, he's someone you would want around your kids."
He's one of those guys that probably got more.
Stop right there. Lance, stop right there. Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins. That was the funniest movie I've seen him in. I won't say he was funny, but the movie itself was funny. But first of all, I thought he was way too old to play Martin Lawrence's father. But still, his performance as, I won't say an overbearing father, but someone who can't seem to understand his son very much. It's very interesting.
2008 with the wonderful,
one of the funniest movies I've seen him in.
With the wonderful Margaret Avery. Has anybody else seen this film?
Yes.
What do you think, Enzo?
Yeah, it's a fun little movie. I like it with I put it up there with just a lot of guilty pleasure movies I love. I just like it.
Hey, Enzo, you know what my favorite scene in that movie that made me laugh? When Fifi's boning Bucky.
Oh my god! I'm gonna rewatch this one too.
That's already conjured up images for me. There we are.
Well, you know what's great though is like like I was saying, like James Earl Jones, like it's like one of those guys. Like obviously he's super famous for being Darth Vader, but even if he didn't have this like celebrity aspect to him, he would definitely get more like job security as he gets older because like he just kind of gels into these father and even grandfather roles.
Yeah.
I would love to know what it was like for this guy to go through puberty. You know what I mean? Like what happened when his voice dropped like 3 octaves, you know? Like
yeah, I mean,
Oh my God.
How low did his balls fall?
Depends. I think the reason why he gelled into these kind of roles because he relates to them. He again, when I was reading his obituary, he was raised by his grandparents most of his life, and he was a father himself. He and his wife had his son is young. His son's like younger than me, believe it or not.
Awesome.
So
that means he was still getting.
He became a father late in life, but he obviously has he not only had a close relationship with his wife, he had a close relationship with his son, and his son does pretty well too. But I kind of feel bad for him. That's probably the only sad thing about it. Now both of his parents are dead, and he's in his early 40s. I mean, that can't be an easy thing to deal with.
Adam Gray says, I bet his choir director was pretty stoked.
$2 super chat from Priest on Peace, James L. Jones. Rest in peace. Yeah, thank you for that.
Remember that episode of The Simpsons when Homer's freaking balls dropped mid choir?
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of voice where it's like I said, like remember that homeless guy that was like begging for money, but he sounded like James Earl Jones, and people were like, you should be famous. You know, he's got that kind of voice.
Yeah.
Where like James Earl Jones would say like, oh, I want to be an archaeologist or a psychiatrist or anything, and they'd be like, you sure you don't want to try doing radio or like voice acting? Yeah. You got the voice. You should do it.
Yeah.
Talking of actors with deep voices, you got the late Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan. I was shocked when he died.
Oh yeah.
He was so young.
He was young. He was only 54 years old.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's what's funny is James Earl Jones was like kind of overweight like his whole life, you know, and it's like I love when fat dudes like live a long time. It's like hell yeah, nice.
It gives you hope.
Well, he
was in good shape when he was young, though. If you look at him in the 60s, he was actually quite jacked back then.
Yeah, and plus he was tall for his age. When you're tall, you can carry certain amounts of weight. I mean,
true.
How tall was he? Like 6'1", 6'2"?
I don't have that information to hand.
I know Mark Clark Duncan had to be at least 6'5".
Yeah, he wasn't a short man. You can see in that picture. He's not that much shorter than Michael Clark D. So
I would love to hear Michael Clark Duncan and James Earl Jones like just have a exchange with each other.
Yeah.
Well, presumably they do in this.
No, exactly.
In this movie. Interesting.
How low can you
I
go?
did look about his personal life, and he because he married actresses both times. God, glutton for punishment. Julianne Marie, but that marriage only lasted a few years because
4 years.
They were both constantly working and hardly saw each other, and she didn't want to have any children and wanted to pursue a career. Very modern woman for that time period. But fair play to her. And then he married Celia Hart in 1982, who was also an actress. Some people may recall her from the CBS police drama Paris. She did a ton of theatre, including some stuff with James Earl Jones. Sadly, she died of ovarian cancer at the age of 68.
68, Hey, Lance, and that's nothing I want to talk about, because when James Earl Jones married his first wife, I was surprised to find out that she was white, because in the 60s, they were still lynching black men just for looking at a white woman.
Yeah, but by then they were living in New York, so that was you were a little bit safer off in that respect there. But yeah, interracial marriages, 1968, not a very common thing.
No.
And actually, I've got a pretty good photograph of the two of them together here, taken in 1964, which I think would be quite nice to show. Let me take this one down and put this one up.
Also, if you have a picture of his son, I'd like to see that, because he and his wife were very private about their life.
Well, all the more reason for me not to show the picture of the son then, if that's the case. But I'm quite happy to show this. Yeah, so there they are. And I have seen Julianne Marie in a couple of things. She is still alive. She is still around. So, yeah, I mean,
he didn't want any kids.
He's pretty fit there. I don't know about that, but yeah, she is still around. So,
but he always struck me as the kind of, it was a very sort of avuncular figure, the kind of bloke that if ever you met him, the first thing you'd want to do was not shake his hand, but give him a big hug.
Yeah,
he's that kind of guy, and somebody that you kind of instantly warm to, and it's not to do with his voice or anything. Well, perhaps it may have something to do with his voice, but there's something about him. There's a charisma about him that is very hard to define. You can't define charisma really. It's a secret sauce really. You've either got it or you haven't, and he certainly had it in abundance.
Inside Man, now that we're talking about it, you know who James Earl Jones really reminds me of now? My father.
Oh, really?
Yes, my dad. My dad's the most quietest human being you ever know, but he has this quiet charisma about him that he is. Everybody loves him, not just my mom and my sister, my niece, but everybody loves my father. I mean, I'll be surprised if he had one enemy. And
shout out to Mr. Peters.
I'm serious. And James Earl Jones reminds me of a more famous version of my dad. I mean,
when you say more famous, does that imply that your father is famous somehow?
No,
just not as famous as James.
Local legend.
Well, it's Leroy's son. It's Leroy's dad. So
I wouldn't say my dad is famous. Like, he's not well known across. But he is in my denomination. He and my mom are well known within our church. But
of course, he's a popular guy.
Yeah, I'll give a good example. For my dad's 70th birthday, we had a big celebration, and we filled the entire auditorium. Most of the people, it was not just family members, but we had entire people from different churches celebrate my dad's 70th birthday. And it's all because of who he is. And to me, that's why I say James Earl Jones kind of reminds me of like my dad. Unfortunately, my dad is still with us today. He's 76 now.
Nice.
So
what I never noticed about James Earl Jones until after he died is he had blue eyes. Didn't notice that.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that neither.
Yeah, he's got blue eyes. He's got an Egyptian heritage, I think, is what that's from.
I thought it was just for calling him the Barbarian because he's playing it's from a forgotten race.
No, I noticed it in the Sesame Street video when I saw it last night. I was like, he's got like green eyes or something. I looked it up and he's like, no, his eyes are blue. And like,
that's probably why I didn't like him in Conan the Barbarian, because he looks so out of place as a villain.
Oh, his wig is ridiculous. His wig is so hilarious. But yeah. I mean,
well, it's supposed to be part of like a forgotten race where they have dark skin but straight hair and blue eyes. It's
but he just looks so out of place as a villain. Like when Denzel Washington did Training Day, I mean, he did not look out of place. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I thought he deserved that Oscar, because no one has ever seen him as a villain before. But James Earl Jones, he did not make a good villain. He looked so out of place, and even with his voice and everything, I think the reason why he was so
How
better.
Can you say he didn't make a good villain? He's the voice of one of the best villains in cinema history. That's nonsense.
No, I don't know.
He's the voice of Darth Vader, who is one of the best.
Well, like I said, I think the reason why I like them better is Darth
just
Vader,
made me spill my water all over my keyboard.
Really?
Calm down, Lance.
What else did he play? No, but what else was he a villain in besides Conan and James and Darth Vader?
I can't think of any.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, and Fences.
Yeah, well, Fences though. I mean, he's like an antagonist.
He's a husband in Fences. Okay,
he's not really like a
women
villain.
Would tell you that's a villain.
Right.
My mom is one of those people who will definitely who agree with you on that.
Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think he's done that really elsewhere. I mean, I think there was like a movie where it turns out that he was like he's like the good guy, like the good guy's friend, and it turns out he's a backstabber. Surely that's happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, he just looks so. I liked him as Darth Vader because you only hear his voice, you don't see him. But as Thulsa Doom and Conan the Barbarian, he just looks so he did not make a good villain at all. He just looks so. Looking at his work now,
I gotta disagree, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's able to. I mean, you kind of want to join the snake cult, when James Earl Jones is like, talking to everybody. You're like,
sign me up.
I had nightmares after first watching Conan the Barbarian.
If you had nightmares, then he made a good villain.
Yeah, exactly.
You're contradicting yourself. You can't say he didn't make a good villain, but he made me have nightmares.
I mean, his name is
when he turned into a snake, made me had nightmares.
His name is Tulsa. His name is Tulsa Doom. I mean, I don't know why, but I don't trust this Tulsa Doom character. Something about him.
What's weird about the name, man?
Yeah, like Dr. Doom. Hey, this Dr. Doom guy seems all right. He seems on the level.
He seems cooler than Dr. Death.
This Professor Horror or whatever you want to, some stupid name. Professor Evil. I love Dr. Evil. Well. Yeah.
You guys are too much.
Tulsa Doom. That is a cool name, though. I'm not gonna lie.
That is a great name. That's a great name.
Like I said, even though he didn't look physically able to take on Arnie, he didn't need to. He had that power.
He had all those henchmen that would take on Arnold, and they'd follow him. They'd follow them to their deaths,
And the women too.
So, what character, pop quiz, did he play in The Simpsons?
Oh, Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Yeah, no, Bleeding Gums Murphy is correct.
Yeah, well done.
Enzo,
good knowledge. Good knowledge.
Well,
one of my favorite lines. He's like, why do they call you?
He played the narrator for, I think, the Halloween special in The Simpsons.
Yeah, he has had some various other roles. Yeah, he always parodies his "This is CNN." He plays he's not one of the voices of the two aliens. I don't think he might be.
No, he's not. No, but the first role he ever played in The Simpsons was Bleeding Gums.
My favorite is Lisa meets him, right? He's a sax player.
Yeah,
he is. I think he is. Yeah.
And he also did the one where they got stuck on the island, saying, "Eventually, they were rescued by let's say Mo."
Yeah. He does do narration and stuff on that Simpsons show. But for Bleeding Gums Murphy, I love because he's a sax player, and she meets Lisa, and Lisa's like, "Ew, why do they call you Bleeding Gums Murphy?" He's like, "Well, let me put it this way: have you ever been to the dentist?" And she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I haven't."
My favorite commercial he did was that telephone book commercial he did where this is the book that got Bubba cooked. Y'all remember that commercial?
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, Stupenzo?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the book that got Bubba cooked. And he was talking about going all the way back, and it turns out Bubba was a fish.
Dude, that's something we probably can watch on YouTube is all the commercials he's done, I mean, obviously super famous for doing the, this is CNN, he did that for a while. What else? Let me look this up.
He was James a very interesting person. I mean, for someone who's never met him, and who really hasn't followed his career all that much, I think he was a very interesting person. I mean, like I said, he lived a good life. I think he did things his way.
Oh yeah, he was doing Verizon ads where he was like on camera. I remember that.
One generation of children knew him as the voice of Darth Vader, but another generation of children knew him as this voice, Mustafa.
Of course,
this would have been
Mustafa.
Yeah, Mustafa. The Mustafa. That's the Bollywood version of Lion King. However, in the traditional version of Lion King,
everything. Is that the Saudi version of the Lion King?
It is. That's the Saudi version.
The Saudi version of the Lion King.
I did just stutter then. Thank you.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
Yeah, it's an iconic role, one that was also parodied in The Simpsons in the Bleeding Gums Murphy episode.
Yeah.
You'll be pleased to know I've now cleared up all the water that went all over my computer. I could have ended our stream really quickly.
Dude, that'd been hilarious.
All because I didn't think he made a good villain in Conan the Barbarian.
You've already contradicted yourself twice on that point, Leroy. So I think we could say that debate is closed.
But I think it's would it be fair to say that he has actually been in some bad movies,
He has,
But-
yeah. Like,
but
I mean,
he's
never
been
stops
good
working.
in those, but he has been good, probably the best thing in those bad movies. And that's the thing about good actors. A good actor can still be really, really good and at the top of their game
That
in
is
a
true.
bad movie.
Yeah, he doesn't phone it in, you know?
Yeah.
He wasn't
like-
drunk on set, falling asleep, forgetting his lines. He wasn't doing what like Orson Welles was doing, you know, in his later years.
Inside Man nailed it on the head because I'll give you an example. Samuel L. Jackson, I've seen him in a lot of bad movies, and he was the only thing that made the movies watchable, like The Spirit and Snakes on the Plane.
Yeah,
Snakes on the Plane.
Yeah, he was the only thing that made the movie watchable. And like I can't think of one. The only bad movie I could think of that James Earl Jones was in, I've never seen, and that was Meteor Man. I heard Meteor Man.
I love Meteor Man. I love Meteor Man. It's stupid, but I mean, I love Best of the Best. It's also awful. It's a stupid karate. Like, yeah. Here, I mean, I'm sharing my screen right now. This is like the kind of thing. Huh?
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Go for it.
Well, yeah, Best of the Best is like some, 90s schlocky Street Fighter knockoff with Eric Roberts. Look at this guy. This guy's not phoning anything in.
Number one, don't be late. Don't ever be late. It shows disrespect to me, to the sport, and to your teammates.
Now, you got to imagine just those lines like on a script. They're just letters on a page, and he decides to read them like that. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't phone anything in,
Two.
No,
We expect you to function as a team.
Sean Penn's little brother.
I'll say this only once. A team is not a team if you don't give a damn about one another.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's because of this delivery that you remember these lines to this stupid movie.
Yeah. But who could forget his iconic performance in and I'd like to see a clip of this if we can find it. Alan Quatermain and the Lost City of Gold.
I forgot about that.
God.
The terrible
great
sequel to the not very good Alan Quatermain,
King
Solomon's Mine.
One of those amazing 80s movies that you keep talking about.
Indiana Jones ripoff.
Canon films.
Yeah,
the King Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain, where him and Sharon Stone were barely on speaking terms by the end of the movie.
Dude, I'm totally putting this on the We Watch list.
Yeah, they rushed into production this sequel, hoping to capitalize on the success of the first film, forgetting that the first film was shit and that it was only successful because people went to see it on the strength of the poster. So once the cat was out the bag, they kind of knew that these movies were not going to be any good. We already covered Coming to America earlier. Yeah, so
but I believe all of the South African crew and extras and cast and everything also absolutely despised Sharon Stone.
Yeah, they did. She was.
I remember this scene.
Lots of stories.
This is him right here.
Going for me. Who needs to worry about getting lost?
Whoa!
You can tell that axe head was fake.
I know.
That's a
It
big
looked like
shot.
plastic.
Slayer of elephants, eater of lions, clever one, watchful one, brave one, quick one. I have changed you now.
Gotta turn that up. Oh, I gotta watch this immediately.
Yeah, we're gonna have
What is
to.
this face?
I remember I saw that movie
that film
years
was
ago.
terrible. So the answer is yes, he has appeared in some bad films, but who
But he
hasn't?
makes it worth watching. Though I saw Alan Quatermain, Lost City of Gold, and King Solomon's Mines years ago when I was a child. So I can't say it was good or bad or because I was so young. But
yeah,
basically any ripoff of the Indiana Jones movies can't be that good. So
right, you gotta once you revisit them as adults, and you're like, this was not good. But you still like it though, because of nostalgia.
Why did they hate Sharon Stone?
She's a bitch, apparently, allegedly, behind scenes.
Yeah.
Difficult to work with.
I think what I think was hilarious was that Menachem Golan, one of the producers, had said, get me that stoned woman, get me that stoned woman, and of course he meant the girl from Romancing the Stone.
Oh, right.
And of
That's
course
funny.
they thought that they thought they meant that he meant Sharon Stone.
Not
and that was where it all kind of went a little bit.
Yeah, because she wasn't that big when that went into production
until she did Basic Instinct.
Yeah,
that was
Right.
way after. That was way after that.
Still, though, I don't know. Some of these actors and actresses, they got this rock star diva mentality.
Yeah, God complex.
And James, that's nothing I say about James Earl Jones. He was not known to have a reputation of being
right.
Oh, I remember this movie.
Yeah, he had a really good reputation for working.
Down to earth guy.
My sister rented this movie when again I was probably in kindergarten or first grade, and she rented that movie.
Little girl.
Yeah, basically someone called some woman, one of the women characters called him an SOB, and he said, SOB, last time you called me a motherfucker.
Yeah, that's one of the lines in the movie, isn't it?
Yeah, I forgot he was in that movie.
Yeah, it's a good film.
I was a child, so I can't say it was a good film or not, because again, I was a child when I saw it. But
no, it was good. I liked it. Has anybody
that alien abduction movie that he did?
I don't know. We'll come to it. Has anybody seen him in Gabriel's Fire?
No, I've heard of it, but I never watched it.
Okay, well, has anybody else seen it? Ran for one season between 1990 and 1991. There were episodes-wise, I think there were 10 episodes. 22. So it ran for a full season, 22 episodes. And Madge Sinclair was his counterpart, sort of. And again, that's Madge Sinclair from Coming to America, who played the Queen. So that's the show. That's the only TV series where they were playing off each other for the whole show.
So they worked together a third time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'd be really interested to see that show because it's got a pretty good rating on.
Well, she died not long after they did Lion King.
95, yeah. Sadly, at the age of 57, and she's a great actress. If you look at her credits, she's been in a lot of things that you kind of forget. Oh yeah,
I saw Queen.
She did that part. I mean, one of the roles, Starman, TV series was.
I remember a horror starring Pat Morita.
Yeah, but she was the Black Widow in Convoy. So she was the black female trucker in Convoy. Which was the last movie. Yeah, last movie directed by Sam Peckinpah. Yeah. So she was in that. But yeah, really good actress. Really rated her. Thought she was great. Madge Sinclair. But yeah, so the show here you go. Gabriel's Fire. A cop who's been sent to prison for killing his partner is freed by a lawyer who then hires him as a private investigator. So I think if they just actually, the show had been a cop who's been sent to prison for killing his partner, that would have been just set it all in the prison. That sounds really good. But yeah, I don't remember this.
I do. I never watched it because I don't think my parents. I don't know because my parents would never let me watch it, or because it was on a Friday night. Because we're Adventists, we don't watch things during Sabbath hours. So, but I remember the show. Also, I know Louis Goss Jr. had his own show called Gideon Oliver, and I know Burt Reynolds had his own TV show. They were all on ABC, so I remember those shows. I just never had the reason to watch them.
Okay, so pop quiz panel. What was James Earl Jones' last official credit? Anyone?
Not Coming to America 2, was it?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm afraid. Yeah. Enzo quickly looks on IMDb. I'm afraid it is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I forgot about that. Yeah, he did
marginally.
What's crazy is this is not going to be his last role. Like he will get more roles in the future.
Yeah, AI.
That's the thing. Is like selling the likeness to your voice is probably better than just like your likeness to your face and everything. But he's got that kind of voice where it's like, I can make checks. I can cash checks for my family long after I'm gone. You're gonna keep making Darth Vader movies forever anyway, so you might as well just keep my voice. And I think it was in the stipulation, like it can only be Darth Vader, but that's not going to stop them from making, Darth Vader just doing, commercials or whatever they want,
There's a rumor they were going to make a Darth Vader spinoff, but again,
why wouldn't they?
I'd watch it. I liked Obi-Wan Kenobi, unlike some people I know on here.
No, I don't watch any of the new Star Wars, but that's not going to stop anyone from making Darth Vader stuff till the end of time. They're going to Darth Vader's going to be around forever as long as, as long as humans and movies and stuff are still around. I don't think Darth Vader is going away anytime soon. But like you said, it's like if you play Darth Vader in every iteration as an actor, like why not I would sell my voice. Why not? Whatever.
Yeah. Well, that also means that his son's going to have an income.
His son was his personal assistant. I forgot what his son did for a living, but guess what his son's name is?
John Earl Jones.
Nope, Flynn Earl Jones. He named him after Errol Flynn.
That's cool.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Yeah, that he is named after Errol Flynn.
Errol Flynn was not a good person either, so he was like the white version of Bill Cosby. So if you catch my meaning,
yeah.
But he was a good actor, though.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Okay. So, before I show Leroy that video I promised I'd put on for him, does anyone else on the panel want to mention any other performances of his that we have not mentioned thus far?
Dude, yeah. There's so many. He's in, what was I just thinking of? He does the voice of, what was it? He does the voice of the Mountain King in the Merlin movie with Sam Neill.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, dude. He was in what else, man? Just like scrolling through his IMDb. There's so many. Judge Dredd. He's the narrator in Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone.
I only saw that movie one time. I didn't know he narrated Judge Dredd.
Yeah, just the beginning.
Big monologue at the beginning. And like I said, Meteor Man. I love that.
I heard that movie was terrible.
It's not great, but it's fun. One of the first black superheroes we've ever gotten movies. So, credit where credit's due. But The Hunt for Red October, obviously, and Clear and Present Danger were obviously brought up. But trying to think of, like I said, I just watched the James Earl Jones movie the other day, the one with Dana Carvey. I was talking about it, Clean Slate, where he's the amnesia detective. And I was like, James Earl Jones is like his buddy in the bureau that's in a wheelchair the whole movie with a neck brace for some reason. I thought it was a fun movie with him. I didn't realize he was going to be dead like 2 weeks later. That's crazy.
If you guys have not seen A Family Thing, I highly recommend.
No, I'm putting it on the list for sure. I checked it out. It's on Tubi right now for free.
Robert Duvall, I'm definitely watching because Robert Duvall is also one of those actors that's always good. I don't think I've ever seen
obviously. I forgot to bring up Dr. Strangelove. Dr. Strangelove. That was the youngest I think I ever saw him.
Yeah, it's only a small role, but he still does well in it.
The youngest I ever saw James Earl Jones in the film was The Great White Hope. That's the youngest I've ever seen him in.
See, I've never seen The Great White Hope. I've seen The Great White Hype.
And that's the only time I've ever seen him with a bald head.
Chris, you got anything else you want to shout out of his?
No, I think it feels like we just covered everything. Like I said, he doesn't have the acting wise, besides voice work, didn't have the biggest filmography because a lot of Broadway stuff and
covered everything, bro. He's got like 190 credits. What are you talking about?
The most famous stuff because there's like so much little work. But
he's one of those guys where he's played himself in a bunch of stuff. He's also and just like in The Sandlot, there's a lot of times where he just kind of has one scene or like one moment, and that's enough to be like everyone in the audience is like, it's James Earl Jones.
Yeah, like my sister just posted that when he made a cameo for like Big Bang Theory. So yeah, he just will pop up and so like for like 2-minute scene. So
Yeah, wasn't he also in? I was thinking, he was in the Second Civil War, which is another movie I recommended recently on one of these Nielsen ratings. The made for HBO movie about a Second Civil War happening. He works in the newsroom, in the news department. It's not CNN, but it's like, fake network news, whatever.
I remember what movie he was in. He supposedly played Sally Hemings' grandson in Jefferson in Paris with Nick Nolte.
Yeah.
So that's another movie with him and Nick Nolte, huh?
I remember that movie. I never saw all of it, probably from the middle to the ending, but he was supposed to play Sally Hemings' grandson, Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson's grandson, and he's telling his grandmother's story about her relationship or being a slave to Thomas Jefferson and how they hooked up in Paris, something like that. So I forgot he was in that movie.
He's in a lot of stuff in the early 90s that I'd never heard of that all sounds interesting and sounds cheesy, like Grim Prairie Tales, Ivory Hunters, The Ambulance, Terrorgram.
The Ambulance The Ambulance is a great like B movie horror film. We should definitely do a stream.
True Identity, The Convicts. Hell yeah, these
True
are cool.
Identity. He guest starred on that with Lenny Henry.
Oh, he's in Sneakers. I forgot about Sneakers.
Yeah, with Robert Redford.
Yeah, good stuff.
Robert Redford and Robert Duvall aren't young neither. They're about to kick the bucket soon.
We haven't got a huge amount of time left, and we've given. Yeah, nice one, Leroy. We've given 90 minutes. I just gotta take the inside man out again. He's gonna start giggling. We've given 90 minutes to James Earl Jones, which is a big chunk of the stream. So just with the final word, I will say what an incredibly rich and versatile and very giving actor in all of the scenes and movies, TV that I've seen him in. It's a sign of a man's character in this industry that if he never stops working and he's always in demand, it means not only is he exceptionally talented and gifted, but it also means that people want to work with him.
People like him.
He's an exceptionally nice man, and that's what people have been saying who met and worked with James Earl Jones. What a nice man he was, and he's
not acting like Sharon Stone behind the scenes,
No, his legacy will stand the test of time for a long time to come. Okay, let's move on. I promised Leroy that he could live vicariously through my raving activities. So I've got a video especially for him because I did a review yesterday, what's known as a gut reaction review, and I have occasionally done reviews of clubbing events or live performances, theatre, that kind of thing. And on Saturday, I went to one called Peach, which is a club that's been running events for 31 years. It was their birthday party. Would you like to have a quick look at one of the high points?
Sure. No. Yes.
Here you go.
I hope that's a woman.
Angels.
Well, she doesn't look like she's packing, so definitely a woman.
No, these are ladies. Come on. Whoa.
You never know.
Oh, is this Lance vision? This is like Lance's point of view. I see. We're like in the mind of Lance right now.
It's like Peep Show, but I can't hear your thoughts.
Right.
So
Lance, next time I'm in England, I'll check that place out.
That was at the front row of Peach during one of the sets. The DJs that they had were absolutely phenomenal. One of the things that they were really good at doing was mixing modern dance tracks in with classic 90s tracks. This is the moment on that night where I completely lost my shit when this track dropped. Oh man, it was so good. So that's Ben Gold, who is the son of a DJ, Graham Gold, father and son. I thought it's really cool that you could see that he knew all the tracks that his father used to play when his father was a DJ in the 90s. And what he's doing is he's fusing them with the tracks that he's playing now. So yeah, it was a particularly good night out by all concerned. I'm sure I can find a comedy photo somewhere. But yeah, very, very, very good night out. So that was Peach at Coco in London, which was really, really good fun. So I just wanted to give them another shout out. I did an on the spot kind of gut reaction review for them yesterday. Also wrote a massive blog about it, which you can find on my Diamonds in the Sky website page. So, but now it's time to go back in time a bit and look at some older stuff. So let's do that quickly and jump onto this.
The late Martin Landau. Heard of her.
Your favorite, Lance.
Let's skip on. Who remembers this one?
I remember you asking a ton of questions about this show. Oh no, this isn't Space 1999. This is something else. Fantastic Journey.
Yeah, who remembers Fantastic Journey?
Yes, I don't.
Oh yeah,
it's way before my time.
With Jared Martin with his cool laser tool, and then you've got the kid from Wrath of Khan. Carl Franklin is now a director. There you go. This kid was in absolutely everything when I was growing up. I wanted his job.
Is he still alive?
Eisenman?
He is still alive. Yeah, so he's still around. He's got a book coming out. He was in the original Witch Mountain movies. So yeah, you had him.
Hey Lance, I know a movie. You can look up. It's one of those Vietnam War movies I liked. It's called Eye of the Eagle 2: Inside the Enemy.
That is a good film, but strangely off topic while I'm discussing 1970s hits. So I'll come back. Yeah. And we're going to skip on. What about this one? So we have to skip on.
Buck Rogers. I used to watch Buck Rogers.
And then you got Blake Seven. Same era.
Duck Dodgers.
Duck Dodgers of the 22nd half century.
Blake 7 is about to come out on Blu-ray with all new effects. So shit effects like this one will have gone. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why new effects? Like real animals? What a nightmare that must have been.
Yeah, that line would have torn him to shreds.
Well,
wish you had.
Study up on your trivia now, because don't forget the Lance Special Outcast movie and television quiz, where two teams go head to head for a large sum of a portion of money divided by me. Will soon be coming to this channel live. So stay tuned for all of those. Okay, I've got one recommendation of a new film to do quickly, and then we'll go round the room. See if anybody else has got one thing and one thing only to mention, because it's predominantly James Earl Jones night. I've seen one movie that's just come out on Netflix. Stars Aaron Pierre and Don Johnson.
Rebel Ridge.
And it's pretty good. Yeah.
Is it I haven't seen it yet. Is it really good?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. I'd say
I heard it's kind of like First Blood. Is that true?
Yeah, it's basically First Blood with a black guy going up against the corrupt cops.
Cool.
I think in this though, it's like the cop in First Blood wasn't corrupt per se. He just was, not really enforcing the law in the correct.
Yeah, that's kind of
was
kind of the beauty of First Blood,
Yeah, whereas these cops are corrupt and they take a lot of money.
Yeah, they deserve to get their asses handed to them. Yeah. First Blood works. First Blood's great because it's all a big miscommunication thing.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen the original adaptation of the First Blood novel? The one with
I read
Dirk Benedict?
No, really? didn't know that.
I think it was Dirk Benedict. I can't remember what it's called, but it kind of starts off pretty good, and then all of a sudden it turns into a bit of a Smokey and the Bandit kind of thing.
No,
I
I've
can't
read the
remember what
book.
it's called, but it's the book's really good. Book's
Yeah, I
excellent.
read the book. Rambo was a serial killer.
Well, I recommend Rebel Ridge. I give it 7 out of 10. Has anyone else seen it?
I haven't seen it. I've been meaning to see it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Whereabouts is it streaming? Where's it showing?
It's on
It's on
Netflix.
Netflix.
It's on
Right,
Netflix
excellent.
now, Inside Man. So that means you can watch it legally.
Excellent.
Yeah. So Netflix.
What the hell's the fun in that?
Inside Man. What's your pick today?
Well, I was actually going to go for something. Originally, I was going to go for something a little bit weird and obscure and everything, but I thought I thought I'd go.
You
for
thought
a bit
we'd
of a
be
horror
expecting. We'd be expecting that, so you were going to surprise.
Yeah, so
us.
I'd subvert your expectations. So I decided to
good.
go for something that was a little bit more what I consider to be the last scary movie that I've seen. So I mean, as a kid, I mean, there were many movies that really turned my bowels to water, but as the years went by, there was nothing. I mean, after I think The Shining, maybe there was nothing that I'd seen that had really made me, I mean, look, basically, I was a prolific shitter of bricks when I was a youngster, horror movies, but there was nothing to make me really open my bowels as much as the Blair Witch Project. I mean, that for me really sort of introduced my underwear for my arse gravy. Let's just say.
We've got the analogy of you shitting your pants. Thank you.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a brilliant film. I think it's an.
I used to play bass for ass gravy.
Now you just do the drums.
Yeah, I remember distinctly Blair Witch Project. There was a moment where it was like a Santa Claus isn't real type thing when Blair Witch Project won the MTV Movie Award for Best Movie, and the 3 actors came up and accepted the award. I was like, "What?
Yeah.
You guys are supposed to be dead."
But this was a game changer, an absolute game changer, and
that's how good the marketing was.
And they actually did the marketing way before Artisan came on board and started doing the marketing afterwards.
Yeah, I first heard about it on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, that's right. Because they did that. I think they cut together a kind of a mini documentary of all of the unused footage that was supposed to go in the movie. I think they had something like 18 hours worth of footage. But this is a movie that made 10,000 times its original budget. $25,000 this cost.
Because they conned a lot of people. That's why I was upset when I saw the movie for the first time. It was a complete waste of time.
Oh man,
I'm from
I
Maryland.
completely disagree. I think it's one of the greatest independent movies that's ever been made. I mean, $250 million on a $25 million budget. Fantastic.
Yeah, but I really got to say, a big part of the success is the fact that everyone thought it was real.
Whoa. The budget was not $25 million. The budget was
$25,000. $25,000. $25,000.
Yeah, $25,000.
That's like a Dave Chappelle joke or something. I think it was.
Yeah,
I think it was Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle. He's like, the budget for that movie is $25,000. All I'm saying is someone's walking around with $24,000 in their pocket.
So,
and they suckered a lot of people, man.
One of the things that you also need to mention about this movie is it's
viral marketing.
It's one of the first films that had its own website, because this was the time when the internet was just website becoming a thing.
They were putting missing posters of the actors as their characters, weren't they? As if it was a real.
But basically, the website was like a documentary website dedicated to the case with various bits of footage and all the rest.
Yeah, that was like a core memory of mine. One of the first times I got on the internet, 1999, was at Disney Quest, and the first thing I was looking up was this Blair Witch Project thing, and it was like 2 for 2, you know.
Just quickly going back to something that Leroy said, and that is that it was a big con, that they conned a lot of people. But that's exactly what marketing does. It's there to con you. Marketing is there to dupe you. It's there to dupe you into watching the movie.
Yeah.
You watch any trailer for any movie now, particularly modern movies, everything in that trailer will be a con. It will be something that's going to draw you in. That's the whole point of marketing. Is to
Also
con
seeing
you
it in the
into
theater
watching the movie.
was an event, man. Like everyone was freaking out. I remember distinctly two distinct memories. First of all, like we're like sitting in line waiting to go be seated, and we're just waiting and waiting, and eventually the janitors come out and they're like, "Hey guys, sorry, it's gonna be a little extra time because we have to clean up because some people vomited." And we're like, "Oh my god, the movie's gonna be so scary, people are throwing up." It's like, no, it's because of the motion sickness. My buddy Larry next to me was like in the middle of the movie, like, "I feel sick, dude," because he started eating. We ate like cheddars, before. And then another distinct moment during like the first time, like you're hearing like twigs snapping in the distance, and everyone's like, "Be quiet! What's that noise?" Some baby, a literal baby, in the upper right corner of the theater starts like crying, and the whole audience is like, "No!" Oh, and the baby's just crying and crying, and they're like, "Shh! What's? Do you hear that? What? Do you hear that?" And it's like a baby. There's a baby crying over everything.
Yeah.
And the lady sitting right in front of me, full grown woman, turns around and yells as loud as she can, "Shut that fucking baby up!" And the whole theater like erupts in applause, and the lady like leaves with her baby, like ashamed and embarrassed. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, she shouldn't have brought the baby into that movie anyway.
Agreed.
But you're right, Enzo. I mean, this was an event. This was a movie event, and it was the last independent movie event that I can think of.
But again, just like every other good thing, it started this trend of like, first of all, every movie had to have
Found
websites
footage.
after this,
Yeah.
and found footage, and just trying to,
Yeah. But it was a game changer. It was one of those movies that was a game changer. And I just, I mean, I admire those guys. I mean, Eduardo Sanchez and I can't
Dude,
remember
when you find out how they made the movie, like they were doing psychological games with the actors while they were filming, that's awesome.
And that was a beauty of, see, that's what a horror movie is to me. I mean, I think if you look at The Exorcist and you look at The Shining, I mean, these are psychological horror movies. These are movies that absolutely just screw with your mind. You don't have to see extreme gore, and you don't have to see, anything really, really explicit to be freaked out beyond belief.
That's why the movie's honestly so well received, because of the one scene where that actress literally did have like a mental breakdown.
Yeah,
and she's literally filming it. That's why when people are watching, they're like, "There's no way this is fake," because like
it's funny you actually mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned that. That shot in particular, which has turned out to be the most iconic shot of the entire movie. She thought that she had actually zoomed out. She'd accidentally kept the camera on zoom, so she kind of went off and filmed that little bit. And of course, it was zoomed right in, so you couldn't see her mouth. She was kind of at one end of the frame, I think. Just she was
looking up her nose.
Yeah. But she thought that she was full frame, and she hadn't framed herself correctly. But that turned out to be a blessing, an absolute blessing. And also, I think the scene where they're going through the forest, they're going through the woods, and she says, "What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?" And the guy doesn't actually turn the camera around to see what she's screaming at. He kind of, he kind of misses it. And these lucky accidents that they had during filming were just, I think it's a genius piece of work.
Like if you had actually seen something, if you had actually seen some creepy lady in the woods, that would have been cheesy. The fact that you don't see anything, there's something terrifying her, is way better.
And I think that the people that denigrate this movie, the people that criticize this movie and say, it wasn't scary, it was cheap, it was nasty, it was just, it was nothing, anyone could have done that. I could have gone into the woods and made this kind of movie. Well, why the fuck didn't you? Why didn't you go into the woods and make this movie and make $250 million? These guys had the foresight and the insight to do it. Great. Good on them.
I honestly think it was just like a crazy, like maybe honestly like an aspiring like student or independent film that just got way bigger than any of them anticipated, It's that's why lightning in a bottle. That's why when you try to do it again, and I appreciated the fact that they tried to not do found footage for the sequel, but the sequel was trash, man.
Yeah.
The sequel was so bad.
I never watched the sequel because I just
I did.
There's no
because they actually wanted to do a prequel. They wanted to do the prequel, didn't they? And I think it was Artisan that said, no, we'll kind of do this sequel thing, and it was garbage. It was nothing to do with the movie, really, the original movie, as most sequels tend to be. So
the 3 actors in it, actually, I think 2 of them went on to have pretty significant careers. Heather Donahue did best, if I
Joshua
remember.
Leonard was in Men of Honor with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
she was in the miniseries Taken, which was produced by Steven Spielberg. That'd be something worth reviewing at some point. It's an interesting show. It's not perfect, but it's interesting. And that's one with all to do with alien contact over the years and different alien encounters. Michael C. Williams, I don't know how he did.
I think he went back to his removal firm. I think he's kind of went back into removals, didn't he?
According to this, he's missing. He's currently missing in a forest. No, he did 21 other acting credits. So he was a couple of them recent, actually. So it looks like he's gone back into acting recently. So young filmmakers, if you want to say starring one of the leads from the Blair Witch Project, I think his fee won't be out of your reach. Because he just did a couple of things after Blair Witch, and then he's gone back in lately. So,
but these are the people. These kinds of people are the people that are keeping the film industry afloat, that are keeping the film industry alive with originality. This may have been in 1999, 98, 99, yeah.
99.
But again, we were still in a period where there were some very, very good big Hollywood movies at the same time, like The Matrix, but there was also some garbage, as there always is. The cinemas are littered with garbage.
Is the 90s another period that you hate all the movies?
No. I'm a little bit more forgiving of the 90s, but this was a kind of a little bit of a beacon for independent filmmakers, and it did light the way. It really did light the way. Unfortunately, as Enzo said, we did have, as we inevitably do have, whenever there's a success, we have boundless amounts of clones, limitless clones, and it's just copy after copy after copy. Although, having said that, this wasn't as original as people think, because there was another movie, I think, that was done in the 80s called The Last Broadcast, which is a similar kind of thing.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But a lot of Blair Witch's critics had said that, oh, come on, this is a rip-off of The Last Broadcast. And that there was something in the press about the producers of The Last Broadcast were going to bring a lawsuit against Blair Witch, the producer of Blair Witch. And the Last Broadcast guys had said, that's absolute horseshit. Fair play to them. It's not, you can reinterpret somebody's idea if that's what you feel, but there is nothing of The Last Broadcast in this movie at all, and it's a far better movie. So
also there's the Tales from the Crypt episode, Terror Television with Robert Morton Jr. Sr.
Yeah.
There's also Cannibal Holocaust. A lot of people were referencing that one. It's the whole found footage thing wasn't really new.
Yeah, it's a concept, isn't it? It's not. That's all it is. It's just a concept, and
it's like taking a recipe. Like, hey, man, this isn't really a recipe as much as it's like a technique. Like, you can put whatever you want in this food, but the technique is like we're going to do a found footage.
Yeah, but this is the one that came up trumps. This is still above and beyond the best found footage movie, and they're only called found footage movies because it actually says so in the kind of opening sort of just after the titles, where the text comes up on the screen. The footage was found, so hence found footage.
Right.
But it's a classic. It's a great movie. I love it. It's one of my absolute all-time favorites, and it's one of the few movies that really does make me touch cloth.
Spooky.
Thank you for that insight, man. We're almost out of time. Stupenzo, have you got a recommendation?
Well, I'm pretty sure Blue Collar's got to bring up Beetlejuice, but I've been addicted. I've been addicted to Below Deck lately because of Megan. I've been watching Below Deck like every season. I'm burning through it at double speed because it's one of those shows you should watch at double speed. But I don't know why I can't stop watching this shit, man. It's a bunch of yachties. Bunch of people renting private yachts, and you get to know the crew of the yachts, and you know, they're all young, hot people. So there's a lot of flirting and fighting, and everyone's cooped up on a boat for several weeks. So, you know, it's just, you know, it's a great fun reality show. I see why all my stupid, my normie friends love this show. I get it. So I'm like into season 5 now at this point.
Oh my God.
I know.
So there's 5 seasons of this.
Apparently there's like 11, but what's crazy is like the reason why I like it so much is, first of all, I love the cooking aspect of it. Like there's a private chef on every boat, and you know, his job is to make awesome gourmet meals for everybody. But then I also love this. It's more about the masculine urge to like want to live on a boat. And it's just like those why the greatest catch or whatever is such a good job a show. Just men watch this shit and they're like, ah, man, I could do this. Live on a boat, be a captain, do a yacht. Yeah, it's awesome.
until they go on a fishing
Actually
trawler.
start doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, for some reason I you know how it is. You clock on a video of something that comes up on Facebook, and it was 2 private yachts like colliding with each other. One of them substantially bigger than the other, and now I'm just getting sent endless videos of private yachts colliding with each other, which
below deck is really hot right now. I don't know why, but yeah, it's like the yachts are a thing now. Everyone wants to be yachting, but these are like a super yacht. Like every time they get on dock, like they're always the biggest boat on the dock. You know, it's crazy. Just watching them like try to steer this thing into these tiny ports and stuff is awesome.
didn't work out too well for the millionaires on that big boat with the long mast.
Yeah,
right?
for Sicily. Yeah.
Which was non-stop news coverage for 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Ew.
Because they were rich people. So I see why you like. I see why you like this show, Enzo. So I see what's going on here.
Stuff, a lot of straight stuff. I think I really just like it because Captain Lee. He's like this like straight edge guy who just like looks down on everybody. Like he doesn't drink and doesn't party, and he's like everyone's just misbehaving. He's just like dad. He's always telling everyone what to do. And
see this grumpy looking guy here.
Yeah.
Right.
Now apparently there are other captains on other seasons, but I've yet to encounter them. But
so does he kind of go to your room?
Dude, he does. There's the last episode I watched. He like had to like everyone's getting drunk every night and like trashing the boat. So he brings them out to the deck and he's like, "This is not your private party house. So you're all confined to your quarters. You guys are going to be in bed by 10." And they're like, "Oh," it's hilarious.
You're treating this thing like a private yacht. Go to your room. You're grounded.
Yeah. The rule number one of the being on the working on the yacht.
You don't talk about working on the yacht.
Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass the crew. Don't embarrass the boat. And also no drinking on charter.
Right.
Like if Captain Lee catches you doing a shot with the guests, you're fucking fired. He'll give you a plane ticket and send you home.
Sounds reasonable.
Well, yeah. Can't really drink when you're working on a
boat. Got to follow orders. Don't ever talk back to the captain. There's a hierarchy, you know? It's like, okay.
Right. So, Blue, tell us about Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I mean, like anything, people, you love it, hate it. I would say definitely has some bloating issues. Too many characters. I agree. Monica Bellucci feels like she's out of place. Willem Dafoe's got a handful of scenes. I mean, but everybody, look. The bottom line is you're here for one person. The guy right there, 72 years old, and some people. I mean, I just watched the Drinkers video on it. Some people feel like he's lost his edge. Some people feel like he's fine. I think Michael Keaton, he hasn't missed a beat for me. People saying his energy doesn't seem as high. Well, Beetlejuice as a character isn't in the same place as he was 35 years ago. And everyone else is just fine. I mean, he's the main star. It's simple as that, guys. You're watching it for Michael Keaton.
The thing is, he should be in the same place because when you watch the original, the afterlife like moves at a slower time, which is like a plot hole for this one. Like, they're in the afterlife for a few minutes and they're gone for several months, several years or whatever. That doesn't really happen in this movie. I also hate how he's always wearing his trademark suit, whereas like in the original, he only wears this suit for like one scene. I would love to have seen him doing more. This is, I hate to say member berries is like I feel like that's a cop out for a lot of critics, but dude, this movie's very member berries. Like everything in this movie is derivative of the original. Whereas I feel like Beetlejuice is the type of character you know, where when we make a sequel for this guy, I think outside of the comfort zone is better. I think I would have liked it a lot more if it was new setting, new characters, maybe. Just take Beetlejuice to new places, like Beetlejuice in a haunted castle, or Beetlejuice in Europe or Hawaii, like it was originally planned. The fact that we're just retreading the same characters who haven't changed in 30 years, you know, it's just this. I don't know why they think like everyone stagnates in Hollywood. Like people don't change or grow. I thought like when we first meet Catherine O'Hara, she's got this really awesome art exhibit. And I thought that would have been awesome because like in the 80s, her art is kind of laughed at and silly, but it would have been cool if in the year 2024, she's actually like a very well-regarded artist. And she is, but I think they should have played more into that because people are stupid. People like her crappy contemporary art nowadays. I think that would have been cool. Like there's lots of cool little tiny threads here and there. Like there's a few parts where I was like, oh, this movie's finally getting interesting. And then it would quickly die back down. But like for instance, like the whole Beetlejuice origin story was very original and felt fresh. This whole subplot with Jenna Ortega. But the thing is, it just feels like this could have been 2 or 3 sequels, you know? And instead you just take 2 or 3 ideas for 2 or 3 great sequels and just cram it into one movie. And that's why the general consensus is it's very overbloated and it feels very lack of direction, you know? And honestly, I said this on Dork Side, like I appreciate that they really tried to make it look like the original Beetlejuice movies, especially the Afterlife. But like, because it's digital, it just doesn't have the same hit with all these like ridiculous like blue and green lights and pink lighting and all this stuff. It just doesn't look the same. It looks hokey. It looks like a stage production almost. And I've said this before, like I think because of digital filmmaking, like cinematographers, like they don't know how to properly light movies anymore. But again, I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's just more of the same. And I appreciate the fact that they're trying to give us what they think we want now, but they finally do something. And it's like, it's just the wrong property to just be giving us more of the same of the original. I don't know. I would have been very much more receptive of this movie if it had taken more risks and gotten more, original with it. I watched this movie in a theater full of people and I felt nothing. I think there's only one part where I laughed and the whole audience laughed. There was a few parts where the audience is laughing and I'm like, what the fuck are these people finding funny here? Like, I don't understand.
Blue, you saw it with a packed audience. How was it?
Well, I said I caught the Wednesday show with my kid, and that's why I was talking to our friend Nadia. Nadia and I can't think of his name right now. A Dark Hour. My theater was sold out. I mean, for my money, the entire theater was fucking roaring, laughing at the end. People were fucking clapping, standing ovation. I mean, comedy is always subjective. Like you could have one theater and 200 people are not laughing. My theater, everyone loved it. I mean, the amount of laughing we were getting the entire film, especially when Michael Keaton was on screen, comedy is subjective.
Yeah.
But like, no, but I do agree, Enzo. Yes, this is not as strong as part 1. A lot of threads were there. I said we didn't need. You probably could shave a good 15 minutes off this, if not 20. But I did find myself laughing more than not laughing. And yeah, I've said it before. I don't think Predator 2 is as good as Predator, but I do like Predator 2. I did like this, but I admit I didn't love it.
More Keaton, less subplots. Has anyone else seen it?
Yeah. I agree with Adam. I would have think if Beetlejuice was actually in a starring role this time, because he's still kind of, supporting character, demon, chaotic menace. I think it would have been great to see him A, in a leading role, and B, kind of like, step up to like anti-hero, which he kind of does. But like, I mean, like he should be up at the forefront. I mean, the movie should have just started with Beetlejuice. Like, let's just,
based on everything you've said, I'm feeling more inclined towards Below Deck. So.
Dude, Below Deck is like addicting, dude. Let me put it this way, guys. I was this close last night to doing a Stupenzo cast and breaking down Beetlejuice, and I started rewatching the fucking pirate version just so I can refresh my memory. And like 20, 30 minutes in, I just kind of got uninterested, and decided not to stream. That's how fucking boring Beetlejuice is. I found it. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, watch Below Deck instead.
Okay. Well, we're going to wrap it up there because it's gone midnight. I don't want to stay on too late. Northern, what you got coming up, mate?
At the moment, I'm trying to do Terminator Zero review. I'm still in the middle of making it, but hopefully it should be out before the end of the week.
I like
Terminator Zero
yesterday.
I've kind of changed my mind on it a little bit. There are still a few things that.
Well, I did say, didn't I? When you were watching it before, because I was a bit dismayed with it at the beginning. I was thinking, I could have done better than this. But then episode 7 kind of changes everything, and you really need to rewatch it again from the beginning, knowing what you know then.
Yeah, so there was some things I missed. There are still a few complaints that I'm still standing by, but apart from that, other parts I have warmed up to it because it does take the whole mythology seriously, and the kids and Misaki, those are the best bits, though, in my opinion, especially when the world is going to shit. I mean, Christ, man, you really do feel
I just finished watching all the 8 episodes yesterday.
What would you give it out of 10, Leroy?
I'd give it 7.5.
Everyone else, Northern, what would you give it out of 10? Now we've all seen
maybe 6.5, because I don't think it's the total franchise saver, but it's still miles better than Dark Fate. Jesus Christ, that was.
It's the best next Terminator property after Terminator 2.
Terminator Genesis was terrible. I like Dark Fate better than Genesis.
No, it was.
Honestly, they're both terrible. Yeah. It's debatable which one's worse.
The Sarah Connor Chronicles is a better TV spin-off, in my opinion.
Just give me ratings for this out of 10. We're not doing a Terminator discussion now. We're wrapping up.
Yeah, I liked it. I'd say 8, 7 or 8.
Blue?
I'll go 5.
Have you seen it, Inside Man?
I've seen the first episode. I'd give it a 6. I actually quite liked it, and I'm really looking forward to getting to grips with the rest of the series.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7. It's a good effort. I think it would have been. They could have showed us a lot more stuff in the future.
Yeah, Terminator Zero is kind of what I'm talking about with Beetlejuice, like fresh, new characters, new setting. Doesn't have to be, everything's just left off with the last movie. No,
it doesn't have to all be about John Connor or whatever.
I do hope the second series is better though, because I really think they really need to up the game for the second series. And
my big gripe is that it doesn't really have a final like a big closing resolution end. It kind of ends on more. Wait till next year type thing,
Yeah.
Just like they did with House of the Dragon, season 2.
These damn cliffhangers annoy me.
Yeah.
Depends. You got anything you want to plug?
Tomorrow, Frankenhooker. Me and Adam and Sandy watch Frankenhooker. Full commentary. It's the most movies I ever had to censor in a movie. You're gonna see like 3 or 4 Dork Side logos on the screen at one point. It's pretty amazing.
I can't wait to watch that. I'm going to watch that, mate. I'm going to watch
that. Yeah, join the premiere and we can riff the movie live in the chat. But otherwise, check it out whenever.
Excellent.
This is a good movie.
Yeah.
We're all pleasantly surprised with how good Frankenhooker was.
Yeah, Enzo, we're going to have to do something for Halloween as well for Schlocktober.
It's in the plan. Just
let me know. I'll try and we'll try and do something next week if you need me to.
Totally.
Yeah, I definitely need to do some sort of horror stream. So I just remind everybody that there will not be a Lord of the Rings review at the usual time on Thursday for episode 5. I'll have to do it earlier if I do it at all, because just before midnight UK time, we have one of Khan's hotties coming on the channel, Laura Banks, seen here with Ricardo on the right. She will be coming in to talk to us about her time filming Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. That's this Thursday, very soon, coming up. She's been in some other movies as well. She's got a lot of stories to tell. She also has a book out called The Wrath of Blonde. The Critical Drinker should be co-hosting this with me, and I'm hoping to have Star Trek Channel Anti-Derivative Jill pop in as well. So should be an interesting stream. It should be a lot of fun, guys. Do check it out. Sorry, Blue, anything you want to plug?
No, my Beetlejuice video will be out tomorrow, and see what's coming out this week. I'm not sure yet.
Leroy, your books are available on Amazon under the name Leroy Peters.
Leroy A. Peters.
Leroy A. Peters. If you want to check out his westerns.
I have one thing coming up. I'm currently working on the second book of my Jonah Chamberlain series. I just completed chapter 15 today. I should be finished with it. I have submitted to the publisher at the latest Friday, at the earliest possibly Thursday night.
So that's going to come out when do you think?
Hopefully this month.
Okay,
depends on the publisher, but if I can finish it by the end of the week, it should be published. It's called Jonah Chamberlain Mountain Man Book 2, If These Mountains Could Talk.
Okay. All right. Don't tell us if they talk, because I don't want you to spoil the ending.
No, it's historical fiction. It's not a sci-fi or anything like that.
Okay, so there's no talking mountains in the story.
No,
that's a shame.
The title was inspired by a Scott Stapp song called "If These Walls Could Talk" from his new album Higher Power. I'm a big Scott Stapp fan from Creed, and a lot of his, in fact, my first two books in the Frontier series were inspired by two of his songs, Face of the Sun and The Great Divide.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to remind everybody also that coming up next Sunday, we are going to be starting to break down this.
I'm a different kind of cop. We knock down the doors other cops don't want to. Taking fire from every scumbag in town. They didn't earn it. I don't feel bad about taking it.
All about bringing force down on the street. Why don't y'all take a look at what you got going on under your own roof?
I never put the money above us.
How long you think that's gonna last?
I don't want Vic in our lives anymore.
You're investigating me? Vic Mackey beats suspects and deals drugs.
And that's just all in one day. I wonder what he's gonna do tomorrow.
Everybody down! Hey, my day's just getting started.
Yeah, we're going to be breaking down The Shield every Sunday from this Sunday onwards, apart from the ones when I'm comatose and not capable of speech. 8 p.m. UK time, special, primarily hosted by myself and the Inside Man, with other guests popping in, including some people from the show itself. So that's it from us for this evening. Don't forget what I always say, that you should look in and call on the people that you care about. Tell them that you love them, check on them, make sure that they're okay. We live in very strange and divided times. A lot of people are going through difficult struggles. Text is one thing, voice note is another, phone call is always appreciated.
Amen.
Until then, I will see you guys back on Thursday with our Laura Banks industry interview. There may also be a Lord of the Rings one. I'll confirm the time nearer the time. Take care.